Hey gang, what's going on? It's me, Al, here over at One Man Indie, and I am back for yet another World Building Wednesday session. And I had recently seen a video where, and I guess I'll post a link to it, like somewhere over here or whatever. It was an interesting video about how to upgrade and unleash your creativity. And the topic or subject he was talking about was something that brought me back to my earlier days as a younger man. He was discussing that how using a notebook and just writing your ideas out basically helps you to get the idea down, get it out, get it solid, and then you can come back and revisit it. You can expand on it, things of this nature. It's basically making an archive of all the ideas in your head. Some of them could be good, some of them could be bad, some of them you can use, some of them you may not use yet, some of them you may never use. But at least you have this kind of almost like a written database, as it were, of all your ideas and concepts. And it reminded me of when I was like a teenager and my 20s, when I did the exact same thing without even being told about it. I would sit down and I would write notes, I would draw pictures, images, all kinds of stuff that inspired me. I think I have all of those notebooks that I wrote down stuff on. So yeah, I definitely see how that works. But then it made me want to think, well, if he was able to make a video of something like this, well, why don't I do the same thing? And maybe I can give an idea of how I go about the creative process for my world building. All the things for every video that I come up with, especially for my characters and monsters and stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'll make a list of all the things that I do to get to a finished, like say, creature, product, concept, whatever. And you may have done these, you may not have done these. You may find them helpful. You may think I'm just an idiot. It is what it is. But I think these can be of help, and I hope that you do find some value in them. So let's break this down step by step. Step 1, ask. What I mean by that is ask yourself a question. It could be any kind of question. So let me just take it from my particular perspective and what I'm doing with now. I'm trying to come up with a concept for this week's creature feature, right? So I asked myself, okay, what kind of a creature can I use? And I remember from the last weeks when I was doing research on the Doulahan that the Spriggan came up. And I asked myself, okay, well, what is a Spriggan? What does it do? And how does it fit? And how can it fit in my Bitter Morass? And so those are the questions that I asked myself, and it led me to go on to what is going to step 2, learn. Now that I have asked myself what a Spriggan is, what does it do, and how I can make it fit into my region of the Bitter Morass, it's time to do some research. And in the process of doing some research, I learned some very interesting things. Firstly, that these were creatures that protect burial mounds and sacred places inside of the forest, but they mostly were around burial mounds, I believe temples, I think other things, maybe even treasure. I think so. If not, then I guess I'll put the correction down of what it is across the screen anyway. But then I also learned that they're not good creatures, but they're not evil creatures. They're more inclined to do things to protect the things that are sacred to them or that they're in charge of protecting, or they'll try to get even with people who do wrong by them. Now, I also learned that they do have some kind of control over the wind, also use storms to blight crops and get the better of folks and just be kind of a menace. I was like, well, that's interesting. That's something that I can save for later. Then I seen an actual picture of a Spriggan statue. I learned something about the artist and the type of mediums that she uses. That also was something very helpful going towards the eventual design of what will be my version of the Spriggan. Now, this goes down to my next point. Step 3, rules. Now, if you have not seen my video in regards to the pillars of creation, one of those was actually called limitations. And because of limitations, your character is able to work within those to creatively solve a problem. So that's the same thing that I'm doing now. There are some kind of limitations that you should be able to place on yourself based on whatever you need. Can it fit within a certain time period? Does it work within a certain environment? It could be whatever rules you're doing for whatever your creative project is. Now for me, I had to make the Spriggan work in the environment that I want to place him in. So I had to look at it like this. Okay, well, this has to be something that revolves around either moisture, fog, rot, mushrooms, swampy conditions, something that looks like it's old. I'd initially said that the Bitter Morass was actually centered around what could possibly be old tribal burial land or the last remains of an older civilization that was there before. So when I tried to fit Spriggans within the theme of decay, fungus, swamp, the possibility of it being able to work with or around the possibility of ancient tombs, ancient burial mounds, and ancient civilization, and combined with everything that I had learned earlier, this helped me better solidify the concept of what this variation on the Spriggan will be. Since I had that in my mind, now comes step 4, experiment. And by experiment, I don't mean, it could actually mean you actually taking, I guess maybe a product if you have it, or like maybe a prototype of it, and you experiment to see how it works, this, that, and the third. But I'm thinking or talking about actually taking the concept in your head and walking it through, I guess, the environment of your project, your world. If you're doing that, how the setting, the characters that may involve it, whatever, the other creatures that may be involved with it, all of these things, and seeing how this particular concept can fit in the larger scale of your project. How does it interact with this? Does this interact with that? And this can take as long as you want to take it. Sometimes it could take you 30 minutes. Sometimes it may take you several days. Experimentation takes time. Talk to any scientist, any engineer, any sociologist, whatever. You're going to take the time to see the results of what happens. It's almost like alchemy, like mental alchemy, actually. You're taking the idea and intermixing it in and seeing the reaction with other concepts that you have established already. This is the engine that's really going to put the idea that you have to the test, which leads me to my next point. Step 5, interrogate. Now that you've seen, at least in your head, or you've written out how certain things work, you have to literally put it to the test. You literally have to put it underneath of a microscope and as honestly as you possibly can, see if this is something that actually does work with what you have. This comes to be the point where you're looking at it, you may be either executing a bit of code or actually trying the actual product, whatever it may be. At this particular point, unfortunately, you may see that it does not work, especially with everything else. No matter how badly you want to, you come to the realization that it's just not going to be a fit to the greater product that you're trying to put out. It can be unfortunate, but it can also lead to greater understanding, greater insight, number one, about your overarching project, which is a good thing. It could be something that can show that maybe this particular version of the idea may not work, but something else may do it. You never know. So this interrogation part, even though it sounds mean and everything else, I think is a necessary part of bringing your actual idea, your concept to fruition. And now we go to step 6, balance. By balance, I guess I'm talking about more or less about calibration. Many times when people are referring to balance is about either the balancing between two different opposing steps or, making sure that you don't teeter, toddle, or fall over, anything like this. But I'm talking about balance like in terms of game balance. That's probably going to be the best way to look at it, where you are adjusting things so that they all work together seamlessly or in at least a more enjoyable way for the people interacting with them. So this is what's happening with this idea. You're actually balancing or revising, maybe another way of saying it, and maybe you might be reshaping some parts of the idea instead of rejecting it altogether in the interrogation phase. This is the time for you to reconfigure it, I guess, to see if you can actually maybe bend, shape, sand, reform the idea in a way that actually can work with your world. And this can also mean that you will make another concept that will be useful to you down the line, which this particular Spriggan concept actually has done. And I have to say, it really was a surprise. I did not expect to be thinking like that, but I did. So balancing, revising, wiring this idea into your project will basically help you make the decision if it is a pass or a fail. Now, if at this particular point the idea just cannot fly, then you got to start back at 1 and go all the way through it again until you get the idea and concept that works. Yes, this may seem like going back to the drawing board is the worst idea to you, and this may make you want to double down on the idea, but I think it's better to just cut it off at that particular point if you see it's not going to work. Better to start over again fresh with the lessons that you've learned so that you can make a better idea which works better with your project. And then we have the last step. Step 7, enjoy. Yes, enjoy. Enjoy that you were able to work through this particular process, and now you have a shiny new creature that you can show to folks, a concept that you can show off. And even if you don't, it's still something that you have for yourself. It's the process of actually being able to solve this particular problem. And it is a problem. Not like a world-ending problem, but it is a problem that you had to work through. I think it gives you this feeling of accomplishment, which is something that you should enjoy. Hey, look, man, life can be hard. Trust me. I'm almost 50 years old. I've had a lot of setbacks, and I can tell you, yes, life is challenging. So the times that you're able to look back on the things that you've accomplished are always helpful. And even though this may not be like, winning a race or a marathon, you did go through a trial to accomplish something, and that's worth celebrating. So enjoy the fact that you succeeded in this. Enjoy that this win, because this win could be the seed that leads you on to other wins. You never know. And with that being said, I am done. So these are the 7 steps that I go to and go through to bring an idea like a monster, a region, an item, story, whatever. These are the steps that I go through to bring forth an intellectual property into fruition. And it's worked rather well for me. So I don't know, maybe other people have other processes. I know other people that have theirs. Maybe you even have yours. If you do, please let me know down in the comment section down below. We can definitely have that conversation. If you enjoyed this particular video and this conversation, firstly, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a thumb. Help me to help others by showing your support in those simple ways. It helps my channel to keep going and keep growing, and it's always, always, always appreciated. If you're enjoying the kind of content that I'm putting out, please feel free to go through the playlist that I have and, leave a comment, leave a thumb. Heck, leave a thumbs down, whatever. The engagement is engagement, and it definitely helps out. And yeah, so this idea for the Spriggan, what I'm gonna do, it may sound kind of Pokemon-ish, and it kind of comes across that way to me too a little bit, but I think that at the end of it, at the very least, I'll be happy with what came out, and I'm hoping that you will as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys then. You guys stay safe, stay sane. God willing, we will all meet again. Y'all take it easy. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed the content, please support this channel by liking, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell for more. Thank you.